right. Well, good morning, Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston, and good morning, Facebook Live community. We welcome everyone this morning. Welcome to our Sunday celebration here at 50 Dudley Street in beautiful and sunshiny, though cool, Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm Rev G. Stewart, and I, along with Rev Ed Tansey, are the spiritual leaders and co-founders of this organization, this amazing community of light. And someone else is speaking. But anyway. All right, so at the center, what do? We learn, we study, and we practice the science of mind philosophy. And why do we do that? So that we can have better and more wonderful lives, right?
Yes.
We are here to expand in consciousness and grow into a greater realization of who we are. And this idea of the science of mind is the study of life and the laws of thought. And we are constantly looking at our thoughts in order to improve our life. And we are so blessed that our founder, Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes, came up with this amazing philosophy that allows us to have a deeper relationship with the God of our understanding. Here we are radically inclusive, right? Not just inclusive, but we're radically inclusive because we accept all paths that lead to a greater and deeper relationship to the God of your understanding. And I don't care if you call it God or what you want to call it, it is just understanding that we are constantly using this principle in our life and being aware of that every day, practicing and remembering that I am creating my reality. So that's what we do here. That's who we are, and that's who we are as a community. Because we are constantly bringing about things in our lives through our thoughts and our beliefs, and we are empowering it with our emotions and our feelings, and that's what is creating our life. So I welcome our Facebook community to check out our website at cslboston.org, find out more about our classes, our community's purpose in the world, and we welcome your financial support as you support this idea of the science of mind of Centers for Spiritual Living in Massachusetts, Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston, the home of awesome people. Right?
Yes.
Don't get excited. Don't get too excited. I'm not ready for that. All right, so if you will just join with me as we set the tone with prayer. I will evoke us in, which is spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of prayer. So just taking a moment to move within, to recognize and to realize that there is a power and a presence and a light and a love and a joy and a peace and a perfection and a wholeness that is the presence of the Most High. This presence that I call the Mother, Father, God is awake and aware and alive in all of creation, for it is the source. It is the substance. It is the matter that comes together into form. But it is in the seen and the unseen. It is all these things and more, and it is expressing itself individualized everywhere, present all the time. And I know that it is expressing itself right here and right now as me. For I am indeed an individualization of this one presence and this one power. And as I know that for myself, I know through the power and the core concept of oneness that it is the absolute truth of each one in this room, each one on Facebook Live, each one in the archives who watch this later on, each one throughout the cosmos is one with this one. And it is in this place of knowing oneness that I call forth today's service in joy and in peace and in ease and in grace and in knowing that God is expressing itself not only in my message, but in each one here so that they are hearing what they need to hear, taking what they need to take, to improve, to empower, and to expand their lives into the greatest and most glorious expression of this one. So I am grateful as I know that it is working in the technology, that it is working in the hospitality as we move from spiritually feeding our bodies into physically feeding our bodies. For this day, I know that the body is not an apology, and that is the truth of this moment. that the body is perfect, whole, and complete. And so as we celebrate that here today, I gratefully accept all of these gifts that I know have been fulfilled. So I know my heart can be overflowing with gratitude and thanksgiving for the good that I know is already given right here and right now. I bless and I release with a kiss of love this word into the law, knowing that it is fulfilled, that it is complete, that it is whole right here and right now. So I say, blessed be, amen, ashe, and together we say, and so it is. And I invite practitioner Nan to give us our spiritual reading this morning.
Why, thank you. And today's reading comes from the book On the Mystery of Being, which is a collection of essays. And the one that I'm reading from today, is called What Are Our Bodies? By Chris Fields. And then I'm also going to read just a few words from the following chapter, which is Exploring Our True Body by Ellen Emmett. We all have bodies, but what are they? Having a body is the most familiar experience in the world. We all know what it's like because we each have one. Our bodies are always there, we know them intimately and well. We regard our bodies as deeply personal. We naturally treat our bodies as unique, special, and most importantly, ours. We have an almost irresistible sense that we live inside of our bodies, even when we feel outside of our bodies. They still feel like they are our bodies, not someone else's. All of our bodies have gone through enormous changes since our birth, and they remain while we inhabit them our own. The idea of having someone else's body is disquieting and maybe even repulsive. But let us consider then a fairly radical hypothesis that our feelings of intimacy with our bodies may be essentially illusory. Setting our essentially automatic acceptance and privileging of our intuitions and feelings aside, even just temporarily, allow us to consider alternative perspectives on what our bodies are. The impersonal perspective of evolutionary and developmental biology, which views humans as organisms among many others, and human bodies as individuals related by descent from other individuals, offers 4 ideas about our bodies that directly challenge some of our deepest personal intuitions. 1. Our bodies are multi-species ecosystems. About 90% of the cells in our bodies are bacterial. Bacteria inhabit almost every part of our bodies. We provide them with food and protective environment, and they help us digest our food, regulate our hormonal systems, and most importantly, defend us from pathogens. 2. Our bodies differ only slightly from those of all other animals, including insects and even sponges. Our genes are very much like their genes, so similar that many human genes work just fine in the cells of yeast. Most human neurotransmitter families can be found in sea anemones. 3. Our bodies are not individuals, but rather parts of a huge individual that we call life on Earth. All of our bodies and the bodies of all other organisms are continuous with that of the last universal common ancestor of all life, and hence with each other. We share not just our genes, but our entire physical selves with all other living beings. 4. Our bodies are aware on many levels, mostly in ways unrelated to our awareness. Sometimes the cells, tissues, and organ systems of which our bodies are made are acting in our best interest, but they don't know that. From their points of view, they're acting in their own best interest. They are each aware of their own environment, an environment that is mainly inside of us. They know nothing of our environment or our perceptions, ideas, or emotions. What then are these bodies that we seem to inhabit, which are also inhabited by millions of bacteria? What are these organisms that they feel like they are ours, or maybe even like they are us, but that are really just parts of the giant 4 billion-year-old living being that is life on Earth? What does it mean to say that we experience the world with or through our bodies, when every part of each of our bodies is having its own experiences that are nothing like ours? What are we to make of our intuitive feelings of ownership and control and intimacy with our bodies when what these feelings tell us about our bodies just seems wrong? Learning more about our bodies shows us just how little we know about them. It also helps us to respect and love them more deeply. Corresponding to and echoing this belief, the feeling of the body has become a set of repetitive psychosomatic habits and intricate webs of tension and density. So the body-mind seems to be the envelope or cage in which the I appears to live, the stuff that I seems to be made of, while the real I of undivided awareness has shrunk itself into the confinement, limitation, and fragmentation of our body. The I is not contained within a body or located in time or space. When the welcoming of the body is open, it is as if the body, like a frightened animal, feels an unconditional invitation to come out into the open space. Over and over again, we realize that like sounds and thoughts, the bodily feelings and sensations are subtle in nature. They are not solid or tangible and cannot be held or measured. Rather, they are like vibrating ripples on the surface of myself, intimately one with myself, made of my own invisible substance. We feel and know that the body is the openness that I am. And so it is.
So it is. Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful. That was a wonderful, wonderful reading. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. So here we are, 2020, sharing in the spiritual vision, which is our theme for 2020 for Centers for Spiritual Living. And of course, February is all the colors of love as we celebrate Black History this month and love. And that is what we're looking at. So today, as a part of that love, we are going to speak about the body is not an apology, which is so important. Because so often in our world around us, we're taught that it is, right? It's not good enough. You need this to make it better. You need that to make it better, whatever it is. So I like to start with Ernest Holmes because, you know, Ernest Holmes gives us so many wonderful things, and the glossary gives us these beautiful definitions. And so in the glossary under body, Ernest Holmes says the outward form. Okay, the outward form, got that, all right. The entire manifestation of spirit, both visible and invisible, is the body of God. So all we see, and even all that we don't see, is the body of God. And much like the beautiful reading that Nan shared this morning, it's like we ourselves in that body of God, right? Because it's such a huge and unimaginable space that the body of God takes up. It's more than we can even imagine with our finite minds. He goes on to say that within this one body of God is included all lesser bodies. Well, that's what I just said, right? That we are cells within the body of God. This one body, coupled with the intelligence running through it, is called the Son, or the second person of the Trinity. Who is that? You and I. We are the sons and daughters of the one infinite one. Individualized expressions of it. This, of course, includes humanity, both visible and invisible. Now, I'm not sure about that invisible part about humanity, but that's okay. Don't know what he means with that. It also includes every gradation of consciousness, from the simple to the complex, from a cell to an archangel. It is the entire manifestation of spirit on any and all planes. I love that, on any and all planes, because we know that we are immortal. And so we know that when we cross this veil, whatever it is, when the body has finished its work here of holding our spirit, that we go on to other planes. So he's talking about that no matter where it is, this presence is a part of that. And it is within the body. So, it is the entire manifestation of spirit on any and all planes. Body is the definite outline of flesh containing all the ideas which go to make the complete physical instruments. So every part, all of the bacteria that we were told that are a part of our body, it's all in there, and it's all part of that greater idea, of the divine idea. So, Ernest is telling us a lot about the body. I want you to notice one thing about all those things that I read about the body. Did he once say in that it's not real? No, he didn't say it was not real. Did he say it was an illusion? No, it's not an illusion. We experience and we know and we feel our body. It's what we are. It is an effect that takes form from divine infinite substance. So it is an effect of what's going on around us in our life and our beliefs and all of those things. It's an effect. It came into the world. So, and I love what he says here that, that he includes that every gradation of consciousness from the cell to the archangel. I think somebody said to me, it's like, well, I don't think Ernest Holmes believed in angels. Well, apparently he did. Because he talks about it. It's all out there as a possibility, right? It's done according to your belief. So whatever I'm believing is indeed a reality in my life. And whatever I'm believing about my body is indeed expressing in my world, is it not? So it means that we are made up of that fabulous cosmic dust. And that is what we're made of. I always love that idea of being made up of cosmic dust. It just feels so wonderful and magical. So much more than the old ideas of, you were born in original sin and you've got nowhere to go from there. I'm not going there anymore. I don't have to. So we need not accept what the world tries to tell us about our body. Would you agree with that? Yes. So when you watch TV, I always love the little 20-year-old girl who's like using the wrinkle cream, and I'm like going, you're 20 years old. What are you showing me? Anybody notice that?
Oh, yeah.
On some of these commercials?
Oh, yeah.
Although there is one commercial out there that I think is so beautiful, and that's that older woman. I think it's for, I can't remember the cosmetic, but she's like, some people say that it's, that there's a time when you stop using cosmetics. She says, I wonder when that is, and she's beautiful and she's old, but she's fabulous. And that's such a great idea, to think outside of that box. Don't let the world put us in a box, because the world is not the truth. The reality is happening here, is happening in our consciousness all the time. So we are perfect as the divine is perfect. We do not need to be fixed, and we most certainly are not flawed in any way. Yes, sometimes we say to ourselves we are flawed, but we need to move back out of that and recognize that we are not flawed. How can we be flawed? We are an individualized expression of the one. So we can't be flawed. We have to be perfect. Doesn't mean we have to work at it. It means we have to remember what we've forgotten, what the world has taken in its day-to-day BS away from us. We need to take it back. So to say that we are flawed would then be saying that the infinite spirit is flawed. Now that to me is true blasphemy. So when I say that I am flawed, I'm saying that what? God is flawed. That's blasphemy. Not misquoting the Bible, although we know that's going on in the world right now. But there's things going on that are much more wonderful and much more powerful. So as we look at this idea, the body is not an apology, I have to move out of form and into first cause. Because that's where it begins, right? I can make changes in my body form by going back to first cause. And then it comes forward into form as I continue to grow in consciousness and express more of it. So today what I'd like to look at is I'd like to look at what apology means in a world of sorries. Because we say sorry a lot. And I am not sorrowful. And sorry comes from that intention. And then I also want to talk about what the body really is, and that we should love the body as we love the God of our understanding. Those are the points I want to make to you today. So let's start with the first one, and that's what apology means in the world of sorries. Now, in his book, The Sorry Syndrome, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse says this: the word apology originated in the early 15th century. It is synonymous with defense and justification and comes from the Latin and Greek words apologia, a defense, and apologetheia, which is to speak in one's defense. So these words, now in the Sorry Syndrome, he talks about that it's like, don't say sorry, instead say, how can I grow from this, and how can I excuse myself, and say, how can we grow together in expansion, instead of just saying sorry and walking away. Because really and honestly, we say sorry and we don't mean sorry. I always try to say, excuse me, because I feel that I need to be excused when there's something that happens between us, even if it's just someone I bump into in the street. I don't say sorry. I say, excuse me. Because I want you to excuse what happened between the two of us. So I went also to dictionary.com and I found this. Apology is a written or spoken expression of one's regret, remorse, or sorrow. Again, there's that sorrow, right? Of having insulted, failed, injured, or wronged another. So if I've done that, then I need to go to that individual and make that right. Does that make sense? Rather than just saying I'm sorry and not doing anything about it. And then going on and doing the same thing again. So it's really important. And further it says a defense, an excuse, or a justification in speech or writing as for a cause or a doctrine, and an inferior specimen or substitute or makeshift. And I loved how they said something, like that woman's hat was a sorry apology or something to that effect. So in other words, you didn't like the hat. So it's not a powerful thing to apologize. So in the Science of Mind text, Ernest Holmes tells us this as we look at more of this idea of the body. My body is pure spiritual substance, and as such, it is perfect and harmonious. So when I'm in that place of thinking my body is not perfect, it's not where it needs to be, I'm forgetting one thing, that it is pure spiritual substance. Pure spiritual substance. No matter how it looks, no matter how it's showing up in the world, it's perfect divine expression. Yes, can we grow and expand and improve the consciousness of our body? Absolutely. We can always do things. There are so many things that we can do to improve the body. But to remember that it's pure spiritual substance all the time. Otherwise, I'm just beating a dead horse, as it were, right? I'm getting nowhere. We do not need to make excuses or apologize for our bodies, because it is that. It is that pure spiritual substance. Now he goes on in the Science of Mind text, and he talks about body on page 373, and he says, body, is a concrete manifestation. In fact, I just like that. Body is a concrete manifestation existing in time and space for the purpose of furnishing a vehicle through which life may express itself. Notice it's a capital L, life. The physical universe is the body of God. It is a manifestation in form of the mind of God. The mind of God. And notice capital M, mind. It's the universal mind that is sustaining all of us in our finite minds. I like to think that our brains are like this like a Wi-Fi to the divine. You know? And that our brains help to filter it in so that we can handle it. Because honestly, I think our bodies would explode if we received all of the information that is the divine information, right? But we can receive it in a way that we're ready to receive it as we move forward. So it's important to realize that it is a vehicle. Our body is a vehicle. It is carrying us on this plane of existence. So it is not only pure spiritual substance, it is the vehicle through which life may express itself. That capital L, life. I love how Ernest Holmes did that when he was talking about the divine words or the divine realities with the capital letter. So we can recognize that there's so much more than just God with a capital G. There's life with a capital L. I don't have to call it God. I can call it life. I can call it love. I can call it peace. I can call it perfection. Doesn't matter what you call it. Realize you're using it all the time. All the time. So I think when it comes to that idea of knowing that we must love our bodies, for it is the outward expression of God, or the God of our understanding. So I'm just going to say, no more apologies. Enough said. Right? Let it go. Now let's look at what the body really is. So we've already looked a little bit at what Ernest Holmes has to say about the body, right? We've read those different things about what the body is, right? And what he tells us the body truly is. So now what I want to do is I want to go into a little deeper understanding of that. We know that it's the vehicle that sustains us here. We know that it's pure spiritual substance. But Ernest Holmes had more things to say about it in the Science of Mind text. He said this, that when humanity first awakened to self-consciousness, they had a body with a definite form, showing that instinctive life, which is God, had already clothed itself with the form of flesh. That's pretty deep. So we woke up in this body. Maybe screaming babies, yes, probably so. So, although there was a friend of mine who, she actually didn't cry when she was born, she laughed. And I thought, how cool is that? Coming into the world laughing, right? So, I just thought it was just such an interesting reality. But so he talks about that we're taking this form of flesh. So this form of flesh right here is Rev G. That form of flesh is practitioner Barbara. That form of flesh is practitioner Nan. That form of flesh is Jim. It's Maria. Practitioner Maria. Karen, Chris, Rev Valerie, and whoever else is watching on Facebook Live. Because they're realizing, we are always realizing that we are the form of flesh that is God in form. Isn't that awesome? This perfect vehicle was designed to carry us through the world. And to meet each other and to meet what? The God in each other. Exactly. Thank you, Vicki. Yes, the God in each other. Now, it is not only that, but Ernest Holmes further says, body or form is the necessary outcome of self-knowingness. In order to know, there must be something to know, something to be known. Hello. If I don't have a body, I can't meet another body. So I can't know more. And so the divine can't know more. It's the self-knowingness. It's the divine expressing as us. It's God knowing God in each and every one of us. Even in those people that aren't so easy to come in contact with. There are opportunity to grow, to do more spiritual practice, to awaken us to who we are, which is what it's all about. So this means that my body as the body of God has to exist so that my body can know your body and your body and your body and each body. Isn't that cool? And when we can realize that and live in that, doesn't it get easier? Way easier. I think of the years that I spent struggling against that idea. Even though there was innate knowing. Did anyone have that kind of like, there was kind of this innate knowing in you, even though you were out of alignment with oneness? There was that piece of you that always kind of said, but there's more than that. And it's so good to be living in this. To me, it's like, this is like the greatest miracle in my world, is to have this life that we have because of this philosophy. It's like, wow, it's so different. So, as we take in all of this, we are that consciousness expressing individualized. Think about it. We are that. I am that. You are that. We are that. So God is showing God a good time on this physical level. And I ask you, are you showing God a good time as you? Think about it. Are you? Are you feeling joy? Are you feeling happiness? Then you're showing God a good time. But I want to go somewhere else with that. I want to go even further. So it's not only us showing God a good time on this physical plane, but how about this? Or is it God showing us a good time? I think it's both and. I think that when we can get into alignment with our divine self, that we can definitely live and show God a good time, but that we can let God show us a good time at the same time. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that a great concept to take into life today? I think it is. What I want to do. So as we align with the inner divine presence and deeply connect with this indwelling intelligence, we are partaking of the self-givingness of spirit. And if you're not partaking of the self-givingness of spirit, do so more for yourself. Because you're worthy of that. Each and every one of us, our birthright is to have it all in consciousness. And I can't have it all in consciousness until I open my consciousness to receive and to know more. And that's how we grow in consciousness. That's how we get to that place and receive our birthright, which is all the good the universe has to offer. And all of this is why we should love the body as we love the God of our understanding. And that's my last point. Of course, I realize I just should all over us, and we should never should on each other, right? So I'm going to say this. Maybe I should say it is best for us to love the body as we love the God of our understanding. I'm going to should on you, promise. But it is a good idea, and I welcome you to join in that idea. So one of the things that I have learned in this philosophy is that I must find self-love. Anyone know that? And that sometimes is the hardest thing because we are taught to love other people more than ourselves. Have you noticed that? Some of the messages we get. And yet, in the Bible it says we should love others as we love ourselves. You see that equal balance? So I have to love myself. And I just have to say that when it comes to this idea of loving yourself, it is a lot of work sometimes. Because we have so many ideas of what's wrong with us, right? And we have to let those go and move into that recognition that God is perfection and wholeness. Therefore, I am perfection and wholeness in body, mind, and spirit, in all of my affairs. So I love this that I found online, and I think some of you, if you watch the Facebook page, you've probably seen this before, but I found a different one here. But when it comes to loving ourselves, I think RuPaul puts it best. Oops. Well, RuPaul doesn't have that. We'll move on. RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? Amen. And look at that. That fabulous man. Way prettier woman than a man. Not that we want to make judgments, but I'll tell you what. If you haven't seen the show, I think it's BJ and the Queen. I recommend it to you. It's beautiful, and what he does in that show is so powerful. But it's expanding our consciousness, right? It's opening up to greater good. So he, in his way, in a gentle drag queen way, is telling us that we need to love ourselves. But we can't love others. If I don't love myself, I can't love you. It's so important. And a major part of self-love is loving our body. Right? Yes. The world tries to tell us it's not good enough. It is. It's carrying your spirit right here and right now. That's awesome. Awesome when you realize that. Powerful. So, and a major part of this self-love is loving our bodies, as I said. After all, it is the vehicle that is carrying your divine essence here on earth. Now, Sonia Renee Taylor, in her book, The Body is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love. She speaks of loving the body in this quote, and I love this, and look at her in her beautifulness. Stunning woman. She says, concepts like self-acceptance and body neutrality are not without value. When you have spent your entire life at war with your body, anybody done that? We've all done that at some point in our lives. But when you have spent this entire life at war with your body, these models offer a truce. But you can have more than a ceasefire. You can have radical self-love. This is the big piece here. Because you are already radical self-love. You are already that. You are already that. The most important thing to glean from this is that line, that you are already self-love. Why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose that is? Because you are the divine presence of love. And if you are the divine presence of love, you are already radical self-love. When I get into alignment with the truth of who I am, with the divinity of who I am, I can be there. And that's where we want to be all the time. In the same way that we talk about that we are radically inclusive. I can be radically inclusive of my body. Is it perfect? On the physical form, maybe not. But you know what? On the divine form, this body is perfect. Each body in this room is perfect. Each body on Facebook Live is perfect. They're all perfect. They're carrying our essence. They're vessels. Vessels of amazing and powerful stuff. So we learn to love ourselves in all of our humanness by this radical self-love. Would you agree? All of my humanity, I love in that. And that is so powerful and so important, because if I can love my humanness, I can love your humanness. And that's where it comes from. That's where the power is. In this self-love, there is something magical that takes place in our life and in our world. And I think that Nahira Wahid speaks to the magic in this following quote. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. That comes from her poetry. But it's so beautiful. I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. Imagine what your body will do. And I want you to do that with me right now. I want you to just close your eyes. Settle into your chair. Let yourself be fully supported, knowing you are supported by the everlasting arms of the divine, and that chair is a part of that support. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Relaxing your body completely. As you breathe naturally, I want you to bring up an image in your mind of your body. Without judgment. An image of your body in your mind's eye. Now as you see your body in your mind's eye, I want you to say to your body, I want to be your friend. And now take another deep breath with me. And exhale. And now open your mind to listen to what your body has to say in response. And take another deep cleansing breath. And as you are ready, you can open your eyes and become present in the moment again. So what did your body have to say to you? Was it interesting? Was it surprising? If you have your journal, yes, definitely make a note. You don't have your journal, make sure you bring it next time. Because it's a good thing to know. Your body speaks to you. We know in heart math that the heart communicates with the brain more than the brain communicates with the heart. Powerful realization. And that every organ of our body is actually working in communication all the time. All of these pieces. So, what I'm going to ask you to do this week is I'm going to ask you to join with me in loving your body at least 2 times this week. I'll do it more. I welcome you to it. But at least 2 times this week. And go in and ask that question. Ask, what do you need to tell me? Because your body will speak to you. Because it's the body of God. And we receive messages from everything all the time. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do this week. Will you join me in that? Yes. Namaste. So I ask Missionary Nan, if she will come up and offer us a beautiful spiritual mind treatment, our form of prayer.
Purpose of this treatment is to know that each and every body is an individualization of divinity, perfect and magnificent, worthy of love and respect, worthy of our radical self-love. And I know that there is only one mind, one spirit, one presence right here and right now. This presence, this power, this creative force is in and through all of creation, seen and unseen. This presence, this creative force, that which some of us call God, is in every cell, every bacteria, every fiber of our being. All of the manifest universe and the invisible is of God. And I know that I am one with this spirit, that the body that I have is the body of God. And as I know that this is true for me, I know that each one here is an individualized body of God, that we are all cells and individualizations within the larger body of God, which we may call life on earth. We all are part of this one divine expression in and through and around each one of us as us. It is perfect divine expression, pure spiritual substance that is in expression through each of us, collectively as all of us. We are the body of God. Therefore, I proclaim and know for each one of us that we express in our radical self-love, because there's nothing else to be if we are in fact the body of God. We love our bodies because we love the divine creative force that gave rise to each one of us. We vibrate and are in reciprocity with this divine being, which is who and what we each are, individually and collectively. And knowing this to be true, that we are this divine iteration of God, we can love ourselves so much more fully and completely, with joy and gratitude. And we can turn to our neighbor, and we can love our neighbor as ourself, because our neighbor is ourself. In our radical self-love expands and extends to all of creation, to all of the body of God, of which we are a shining participant, a magnificent participant. And I'm so grateful that I know that this is true about each one of us here, right here and right now, that we are the body of God, that our individual bodies are collections of billions of entities that are bodies of God. Our body, together with all the other bodies that make up this manifest universe, are the body of God, and it is our joy, and I am thankful that we can pour love in and through all of these bodies. And I release this treatment into the law, knowing that the love of our bodies is complete and perfect, even as that which created them is divine and perfect. It is done, it is so. And knowing that this is true, and it is done, and it is complete, I affirm, I commend, I speak with all authority, and ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.
And if I haven't told you lately, I love you. Each and every one of you, each one on Facebook Live, and each one in the archives, I love you. So let's affirm some good stuff about our body today. You ready for that?
Yes.
My body, exactly as it is a perfect and glorious instrument of the divine. I take pride and revel in the glory that my body now. Let's do that one more time. My body, exactly as it is a perfect and glorious instrument of the divine. I take pride in and revel in the glory that is my body now. Comes from our regeneration team, which are people, I believe, under 35, that there's a special scholarship that pays for their entire ministerial education to bring young people into our organization. So that's all of this month has been providing. They provided the affirmations and the outlines for our talks, which has just been awesome. They've blown me out of the water. So we say goodbye to our Facebook Live family. Bye.